I'm going to talk about a self-portrait project that I'm currently working on. This project started for me before and has evolved through a pretty major transition in my life. After 18 years of being a full-time professional actor, I have decided to stop acting to become a full-time photographer. This decision has been made pretty much solely by the fact of me wanting to spend more time with this guy. That's my son, and since his birth, he has influenced every decision I make. And I wouldn't be up here talking about this project without him, so I thought I'd put him in here because I thought he deserved a slide, and so does my wife, but she didn't get one, so. I began this project through mentorship from a friend, Peter Hurley. He created this portrait study where every month, once a month, a great portrait photographer of past or present is chosen. Within that month, you study their life and their work, and then use it to inspire and influence a portrait of your own. I chose instead to use this opportunity as a technical challenge to recreate one image. I felt by recreating their work, I was honoring these great photographers, but also this way the work I produced was at arm's length from my portfolio, and it remained and maintained the purpose of what it was, which is a study project. The first study was Richard Avedon. Now, I'm not going to talk about every individual photographer or even each portrait, but I wanted to say this is Richard Avedon, and I didn't take this picture. He took this picture. On that note, this project didn't actually start as a self-portrait project. And it only really moved into self-portraiture out of necessity, really. I found in this first portrait that I was wasting so much energy and time on just trying to find someone that looked like Buster Keaton, and through that I moved into to self-portraiture because it was really, it kind of went against the entire project. Added to that, not only finding someone that looked like the person, but on top of that, finding someone that has the patience that this takes to sit on a stool and have their head wrapped in tape with tape stuck to their eyeball for an hour while I meticulously move the camera around and figure out how to get it perfect. That's like a small form of torture. So to move on, I moved into self-portraiture. Through that necessity, I discovered that I was actually glossing over a pretty important perspective. And by sitting in the subject's position, it forced me to actually think about that perspective of these images, which was lacking. And it made me think about them and who they were at that moment in time, and it also made me think about what they were thinking about, even if it seemed to think they were thinking about nothing. And that realization was huge in moving this project forward, but also moving all of my work forward. So when I was asked to do this presentation, I really struggled to define why I was doing this. I mean, if you asked me like a month ago why I was doing this, I would answer kind of off the cuff, well, I don't know, I like it, it's cool, it's fun. I get to be Michael C. Hall and Humphrey Bogart. But that's mainly because it's hard for me to be retrospective about something that I'm currently in the middle of. But with the impending doom of having to talk in front of a group of peers about this, it forced me to sit down and just really define this project's worth. And through that, I have discovered that there are really two things that have been fueling this project for me. Initially, this project was fueled out of insecurity. As an actor, I have a lot of confidence. That confidence comes from 18 years of experience. Within that experience and 18 years, there's 5 years of post-secondary education. Within that education, there is an understanding of the craft and how I can best serve it, but there's also an understanding of the history of that art form, where it came from, where it started, and how it evolved through time to be where it is today. As a photographer, I'm a self-taught photographer. I've had some great mentorship, but the majority of my training has been from trial and error. And so this project has served as a way for me to move forward and slowly learn the history of portrait photography without the overwhelming task of trying to get that all in one foul swoop, especially when I got into this to have more time for my family. Now, I think that's the initial thing that started this project for me, but as I sat down and thought about it more, I don't think that that's something that can continue it on, and has not been fueling it more recently. And I found that what's really fueling this now is this project has evolved into a way for me to cope through the fact that I've decided to stop acting. Because for the majority of my life I've been an actor, and the thought of stopping acting actually brings a lot of sadness to me. And it's not that the decision was made out of bitterness or that I was forced to make this decision. I've never been happier in my life, but there's still a great amount of sadness that comes along with that. But with this project, I'm able to continue to bring that part of me along, and in a sense kind of like slowly wiggle my way through that as well. And so when I look back at this, I will also always look back at this project as a symbolic series of images that define that moment in my life. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much.